Kai Nemza was asking questions about how to monetize his audience. He had a gaming channel, millions of subscribers, was trying to sell how to get better at this video game. He was making no money for years, even though millions of subscribers he was buying. So he's created this no-brainer offer. He basically makes 4 thumbnails for you as part of his $9.99 a month deal. And then he's doing joint ventures with other communities. So it's a really interesting thing that he's doing.
I love it. Well, I'm glad. That's great. That's super good. Yeah, and this is such a great way to add more. Like, basically, I'll take this second and we'll open up Q&As. Like, Kai could have had just a normal service-based business. Because that's fundamentally what that is. I'll make you 4 thumbnails, whatever you get, 1 a week. But by adding in the community component, it just adds a whole other level of value that's very little work for the amount of value that you provide in addition. And so now they buy for the 4 thumbnails, they stay for the community. And you guys notice this is a common thing. It's like, you need to have that big sexy thing that gets people to say, yes, I'm going to click buy. But all of that emphasis is to then get into the real machine that we all know is going to suck them in long term, which is like the rest of all the, like, think about this for Kai. Everybody who's paying $1,000 a month for 4 thumbnails is interested in growing YouTube, has audiences they're trying to monetize. Like, think about the discussions that are happening in that room versus even, and this is a big one for everybody in terms of pricing. If you price that at $99, right, then you would have gotten way more buyers. Now you'd have to outsource the creation either like AI or some sort of Philippines or remote VA type of thing. And like he could have done that. But the thing is the quality of that community, the stick rate on the $1,000 with people, even with the same product, is significantly more valuable just because the conversation's happening in the room or the figurative room. So just a side note, price is something that has a bi-directional relationship in terms of buyers. Like you get fewer buyers, but you also get different buyers. All right.
We will be taking questions from the chat today, guys. And the first one from Ivan. He says, joint ventures with other communities. How can I jump into this? Is there an avenue in the community, or how can I get into joint ventures?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't even know I actually don't even know what Kai is doing, to be honest with you. I mean, fundamentally, an affiliate model makes sense for any business. I would prefer to have them, in my opinion, affiliates work in 2 directions, right? Either you have a mega influencer model, which is like KSI, Logan Paul, and Jake Paul doing Prime, right? Mr. Beast, right? You have just 2 or 3 Tila It Seems and Sweat Out, right? Like big influencer, right? Or you do the many micro influencers model. Now, obviously, you have other ones, but they're not partners, they're not owners. It's basically cash flow and the association itself to be worth it. So believe it or not, Nike is actually a business that has micro. They have many mega influencers, which is why they have a $100 billion plus brand. But if you look at like a First Form, if you guys are familiar with that, the supplement world, like they have 5,000 micro influencers that promote their products. And so I think it really, the magic exists on either polar end of this. And so if you're like, I want to do, you don't want to do like 3 AB. You know what I mean? Like, or rather, you don't want to do like 10. You're either doing like 100 or you're doing 2 or 1 that matter a lot. And so that's kind of like how I would think about it. Is like I'm either building this model so that I can get in a month onboarded, or I'm building it so that I have 1 for life.
Next question, Jamie. Unsure if I should change my free community to paid group or launch a new group to be paid.
Honestly, there's people who've literally done both. To be clear, there's an additional fee for the extra group, so I don't want to seem like I promise you $99 isn't going to make a difference in my life. But it is cleaner. Like if it were me, if I started to really understand how the free group is working and is working as a lead magnet, what I don't want to do is kill my lead magnet, because it's like you kill the thing that created the group kind of deal. This is me just purely talking for myself from the hip. I probably wouldn't end up creating a second group if it were me, because there's also mystery here, and a group here, talking there. Like I kind of like that. out from a curiosity perspective, but it would be an additional cost. So assuming your pricing appropriately, it should be.
And a broader question for Robbie: what are the key mistakes you've seen people in communities make?
Teaching shit they don't know. That's probably like number 1, 2, and 3. But like, let's start there. Number 2 is not going narrow enough. And so I think that's where you need to chunk down more. Just chunk down, get a little bit narrower. I'm going to come out with a training on this, but I'm going to give you like the pre-working, so this might be like a 2-minute segment, but I think you guys will like it. And so basically, when you're creating a community, there's one of 3 P's. It's either from a past profession, from a past pain, or it's from a passion. All right? So it's something that you did and got paid for already in your job. So you are an accountant. Well, great. You have a skill and you've already traded it for money. Phenomenal. We'll get this community right now. It's a past pain. This is a mom who has kids who have food allergies. She figured out how to work around their lives. And so that's a pain that you've overcome and that you've experienced. You can help other people get through that. Or there's a passion. This is an interest that when you have your free time on the weekends, whether it's anime, like, why not talk about shoot? He's got anime, right? So like, yeah, you can, right? So you like anime, you like video games, you like painting, you like music, you like fixing, you like whatever, right? Like, there's something that you watch YouTube videos about in your spare time. There's your passion. So you have one of those 3 things. Then underneath of that, it's like, okay, I picked which I'm a number 1, number 2, number 3. I'm a passion guy, I'm a pain guy, I'm a profession guy. Fine. Then you go into like, if you remember in my offers book, I talk about niching down, which is like I get a time management, then I have management for sales, then I have a time management for outbound B2B sales, and then time management for outbound B2B sales for partners, right? And so that's what you want to do is go 2 to 3 levels below the big thing. So it could be moms, but what moms, right? If it's the allergies thing. Is it moms that are really young? Is it moms that are older? Is it, or what age of the kids? And is there a specific way? And so I would think about the who and the how in addition to whatever the P is. The P is the first thing. And then I go second level. So I'm going to get a good visualization for this, but I've been working on it because the biggest constraint in the group is people can't pick their community, what they want it to be about. So I'm really trying to create a good framework for this. But you pick one of the 3 Ps. That's level 1. That's the what. And we got to figure out the who. Right? Got to be more specific about the who. And then you got the how, where you can help. If you have those 3 things, for the most part, you'll get 2, 3 levels deep in terms of narrowing down the audience. And then it gets really specific because if I said, hey, you're an accountant or whatever, and okay, great, you can help with accounting stuff. Tough, right? It's the whole market. But if you said, well, I help, I was an accountant, I can help 45-year-old single dads, because that's what I am, save for their kids' college, buy, right? So I actually probably had to buy my way of doing it. Now you've got a niche. You've got a clear promise, clear avatar. This is what we do, right? And so one of the 3 steps I'm going to take people through in the trip to add, I'm going to add it to the training that we have. 3 Ps, you'll circle down, you levels, and then you'll create a simple statement which will help you build your description in. And then you're going to take the 4 forward, simplify even more for everybody, which is like, you reach out to people you know, you have people who know you who reach out, and then you get in front of strangers, right? Which is basically outbound is step 1, inbound is from content is step 2, ads is step 3. Simplest way to yes, there's uses. But in terms of inputs that and it's just a little circle that moves outwards. When you're core and you don't know anybody, you start with people. Then as you get a little bit bigger, people know you, and they start reaching out to you. That's and then at the end, you've already reached out to everybody you know. Everybody knows already contacted you because they know about your shit. Then you get more people find out what you want. Okay, that was my little. That's good. Coming to a video near you. I'm actually be recording this week. So nice. Look forward to that. If I recorded this week, it means it'll be in there. All right, sorry. Go ahead. Next one.
Love it. Next question, Ryan Parks. Is it better to go more niche, potentially more valuable market, or a larger market?
Yeah, go niche. Go niche to start. the reason to get out of it is that you literally exhausted them. That's like you either have exhausted the niche or the size of your evidence or the size of your proof is bigger than that's normal.
Sort of like to get your first 1,000 customers, you need to get your first 100. To get your first 100, you need your first 10.
Yeah, right. Like I like to think the hypothetical. Like if you only had to help that single dad who balance his budget using credit card method or whatever, and also pay for his kids' college, save up for his kids' college. Like if you had a room full of those dads, would you be stoked? Well, then you want to think about what that room is full of and try to be as specific as possible who you want there. And that's what you do. And it's all right. This doesn't stop. The reason people can't grow their businesses because they don't know how to say no to money. Can't say no. And so then what happens is they let 10 people into their group and they're all different people. And then they can't grow from there because all 10 people want different things. And so there's nothing to be systematized. Nothing is inherently valuable for everyone. And it becomes a complete clusterfuck, right? Because they can't say no to fast money today so that they get big money tomorrow. Like the only reason niches don't work for people is because they're not patient enough to say, hey, you're a mom and you want to save money for your kids' tuition. Well, I'm not there right now. Like it would be weird for my community of moms, and we've got like a good vibe with dads because there's other things that dads talk about. Now, if it's just single parents and you decide to choke out, that's your strategic decision. But you have to have a really strong argument for, wait, have we tapped all single dads? No. Have we gotten close to it? No. Okay, well then, will we sacrifice in conversion and LTV? Fundamentally, this is what the trade-off is. Do I sacrifice in conversion and LTV per customer by making it bisexual and sexual, right? Anybody who's a single parent. And then there's so as long as you can quantify what you're getting versus what you're losing, then you can just measure and see if it makes sense or if you think it's possible. Okay.
Makes a ton of sense. All right, Harut, if you could start posting the current long-form videos that you're doing instead of daily, instead of 3 to 4 times a week, would you do it? Or is there a point in giving people time to consume it?
I don't know. I mean, I will say I personally lean towards quantity times quality is the output. That's the equation. And so there's not like you're not going to reach all eyeballs on YouTube. There's tons of people who have never heard of Mr. Beast, like lots, right? And so you're never going to reach all the eyeballs on YouTube. Now, I would say that quantity, when you look at that multiplier, it's just that quantity can only go up so much, but quality can go up by a lot more than quantity can. And so, like, could you go for, I mean, by that logic, could you do 1 an hour? Yes. The likelihood that you put out 24 times 7 videos per week that's quality is really unlikely. And the only reason I say that is because all the big content channels, like, there's not a single person to make it. And so that's where the hedging against quality and quantity matters. And I think it depends whether you're entertainment or education. I think you can put out more quantity as an educator than you can as an entertainer. Because we need less special effects. And I have I think this week actually, I think on Thursday, I have an update video that's coming out from like, hey, I made these 6 shifts in my content and this is what's happened. But I think I alluded to it before, like our book sales have doubled, site traffic has gone up 30%, opt-in rate's gone up, applications to the portfolio have gone up. Our actual subscribers has gone up, like in terms of month before versus this, despite having fewer views. And our absolute long-form views have gone up. And so TLDR, it has worked despite having some videos that. And so I encourage you to make more volume, not at the expense of quality.
Motaj, she says, Alex, I took action on your advice from last week. You said I need traffic, so I made a free community and started spending $200 a day Facebook ads. Now I'm getting free members for $3. I have a 60K credit limit. Also, will start content with my laptop. My goal is still 0 to 100K per month. If you were in my position, how would you convert the free to paid, or would you run ads directly to the paid community?
So if I were like, how do I make the absolute most amount of money? This is what I would actually do. I would run your ads like you are. You're getting $3 group ads. I would add in some sort of qualification thing, if I can. If I can qualification of people who are qualified, I would add in an onboarding call. The onboarding call I'd use as a sales call. In the beginning, the first 10 or 20 calls would truly be an onboarding call, and I would ask them what they want. Most and the best upsells are going to be speed and automation, as in like, how can you get me what I want faster? How can you do the work for me? And if you want, how can you make sure that I guarantee that I hit it? Just literally how can I reverse risk? How to make it faster? How can I make it easier? Right. So there's the upsells that exist. From there, I figured out which do I index on: speed, ease, personalization, risk for the people, and then that becomes my upsell. That on the next ones that I get on the phone with, I talk to qualified customers. I ask them what they wanted, and then on my next calls, I give them exactly what they wanted, and I sell that into a paid community that I could do over the phone. That's how I had to make the most amount of money. That's what I would do. I would also, now that you have that community, you can also DM message any of those people because you're the host and say, hey, I'm doing some research on this. By the way, one of the easiest things is ask them what they want. They tell you, and then go back to them and say, hey, got that thing, and I tell you about it. And then they hop back on the phone.
Nice.
So that's if I would do, if I needed to make, if I wanted to milk as much out of that group and that strategy as I could. I'll just recap it. Ads to group, segment for quality, onboard to find out what they want, speed, risk reduction, or personalization / making it easy. Then I go make that thing, then go back to those people, offer it to them, and then for everybody else going forward, I get on the phone for that onboarding call and offer them the main offer and sell them into the page.
Love it. Alexander Royale. I teach music production online, but also love teaching about philosophy, psychology, and spirituality. Do you think it would be too niche to both subjects and go for the tricky, hippie music production dude?
I don't think it's that needs to be. I don't think that's like crazy information. I think there's tons of hippie music. So it's like a lot of music people like these. I'll say this. My recommendation: make it about music, and then things that organically come out of it, not of it normally, because they'll just, for lack of better term, they'll fuck with how you see the world, and they'll be cool with that. Like, I don't. If you notice, publicly, I never once on any channel said I talk about philosophy. Never. There's not any of my bias. But if you consume my stuff, you know that I have a relatively nihilist.
Looks like Hormozi's lagged out. Has Hormozi lagged out for you guys too, or is that me? Okay, Hormozi's gone. Lagged out. Sorry about that, guys. I'm sure he'll be back in a second. R.I.P. Alex. We can host a school funeral. That is morbid. Oh no, we have lost him. Mr. Hormozi. Your turn. Go Kirby. No, I can't take this. This is not about me. But if Hormozi's not coming back, I've got no other option. All right, let me message him. Lost power. Powering the computer back up. God, people said they wanted authentic Hormozi. This is authentic Hormozi. All right, I'll do one question. You've got this, Kirby. Ask one question. I'll do it. For those who don't know, my specialty is YouTube. I YouTube audience monetization. Made $1 million from communities. How regularly would you post on YouTube at 17K subs? I've seen once a month, once a day. I started with once a day to get in the habit. But consistency isn't valuable unless you're improving. I see a lot of creators make a lot of stuff, but the stuff's bad. Like, if you're going to be making consistently, at least every time you make it, get a little bit better. How to make 100K YouTube fast? How you want to find an area where you can make content that people really want to see that nobody else is making. High demand, low supply. That's how you build an audience quickly. How do I rank #1 in school games? I'm #4 now. Well, there's 4 levels. There's traffic, there's conversion, there's retention, and there's price. Try increasing the price. Try to get more traffic. Try and improve your about page. Retention doesn't matter too much because you're only trying to win school games this month. Although retention is very important long term. For now, just try to get more traffic. Try to do joint ventures like Kai is doing. I think that's probably the quickest way to get more traffic. Find somebody that has a group of people you want to get in front of and get in front of them. All right, Hormozi's back. I need video. Should be coming out.
There we go. Sorry about that. My power went out. I know. Probably like, oh my gosh, did his power go out? All right. So we were talking about. We're talking about.
You don't mention philosophy in your bios.
Yeah, I don't mention it. So I think that will give you kind of the uniqueness of you as an educator. It's kind of like I consider those like little side quests. But I think the main quest for me is business, and I just let that just be kind of the decoration along the way.
Nice. That makes sense. People were asking how to grow a YouTube channel as quickly as possible.
I'll say this: to grow as quickly as possible, make tons of viral videos that use, smacking strangers or whatever. But if you want to grow as well as possible, that will make the most valuable thing, then you grow a little different. Like I can grow fast. I mean, literally, that was my last piece of content. It's like I did some stuff to get more views and like very easy. At a certain point to just go crazy viral and stuff. Like talk about trends, big controversy. It's just like, do you want that to be what you're about? Because people are going to associate your content with you and the brand that you create. And so for me, the question really starts with what kind of brand do you want to associate? What are the associations that you want to have with what you're trying to build? What's the audience? Who are you? So I'll reverse this. It starts with who you're trying to attract, and then figure out what they're into, and then associate as much as possible with the stuff that they're into with your brand and your business. That's it. Fundamentally, that's what you're doing. You make as many positive associations with the things that they already like, with the things that they don't know, with your company, until eventually you can remove those positive associations they have in the past, and the only thing that they'll have left is your brand, but they will continue to maintain that positive association with you and be more likely to purchase your product and services at a premium price. And so if you're making content about it, instead of trying to make content, try and solve problems for your customer. Like value, whatever. Like fundamentally, value is how do I make it easier for you, faster for you, and less risky for you to get where you want to go. That's it. And so it's like the nice thing is that there's a zillion questions. And I will give you this because I said it before, but I'll say it again. In the beginning, when you have 10 views or 100 views or 88 views on a video and it's not for that's free views. And right now you're in your fucking basement and no one's talked to you, but 88 people who watched 10 minutes of a video that you made. Like, that's great. And it's crazy because in the beginning it feels like they're all faceless people, but like they're real people. And like if you see them in public, it's very confirming, but I promise you they're real on the other side of this. And so you just have to imagine when I started my YouTube channel, I started at that moment without really bad accomplishments, but I didn't have a brand. I just imagine what I used to do when I would try to get 25 people into a room when I sold weight. It was like a week or two of work to do that. And so the idea that I could do that for free, I was like, I'm cool with this. So I think if you can get in that headspace, it'll be cool.
Ryan Duncan is asking, do you think school community first and education second? And for background, Ryan has a community at school.com/gift. It's $1 a month. There's no education. It's just banter and it's just fun and it's growing pretty well. So I guess he's asking, like, how do you balance having a really value of the community and culture versus education? So let me just define the difference between entertainment and education. So education seeks to change behavior, right? Which is like something in the same condition in your behavior. I'll bet you that the people who are in that gift community who make better gifts as a result of doing that, and probably have marketing
they've changed their behavior. So they are learning. Entertainment, the purpose of entertainment is to continue consumption. Like, entertainment is actually like a self-looking action. The only goal of entertainment is to keep someone being entertained. That's it. And ideally to watch another form of entertainment from the same thing, right? And so that is the difference between education and entertainment. Entertainment, we're not really changing anyone's behavior besides getting them to keep watching entertainment. Education, we want to change behavior outside of the content that they're consuming. And so in terms of like what is school after, like we're creating a platform that people can do whatever they want with it. You know, it's named school, and that's because we want to facilitate people to teach other people things that they can learn, and basically for people to teach what they want to teach and people to learn what they learn. But there's also people who use that same platform to entertain, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We're a platform. You know what I mean? We enable people to do whatever they want to do, as long as it's legal. Yeah.
All right, William says, I have a free community, 150 members. It's not very active. I have a paid group with 6 members who pay 1K for lifetime access. I need to keep the lights on, so I need sales as soon as possible, and I'm wondering about pricing. I try get more guys in at 1K, which is something like $297 a month with lifetime access after a certain period.
I like that. But to be fair, $297 per month with lifetime access after a certain period just means a payment plan for lifetime access. Which is fine. But they have to just complete the thing. That being said, one is if your current version is 1K for lifetime access, then you might as well do like a 4Pay of $297 per month, and then it goes into lifetime access. But the nice thing is there's a math equation for this, which is what's churn. So price divided by churn is LTV. All right, so that means that $100 a month, you have 10% churn, then $100 divided by 10%, which is $1,000, is LTV, which means the average person stays for 10 months. All right, and so if you offer like $100 a month is the price point, if you offered your lifetime access for any less than $1,000, you'd also be losing money in 2 ways. One, because the LTV is literally low. But the second way is you'll get a hell of a lot more people paying $100 a month than you will to get something to $1,000. And so you'd have 2 negative trade-offs. And so, fundamentally, all right, I'm going to go on a little rant on this. It's a little segue, but I think we need to. The reason that continuity as a business model is a business model that attracts many people is that you can get the LTV of a high ticket purchase, you get the conversion rate of a low ticket purchase. When done right. If done poorly, you get neither. You get the conversion rate of a low ticket offer, but you're not going to get the LTV. And so then that gets in the way in terms of your ability to acquire customers. But the perfect world scenario is it costs me $20 to get a customer who pays $20 a month, and they pay that for 10 years. That's when you have alchemy. That's when you start just printing money. Because imagine a world where you could sell $20,000 items over the phone. You would make a shitload of money. Of course you would, right? Well, I guess that'd be $2,400, but you get the idea, right? If it was 10 years at $20 a month. Okay. If you could sell the amount of people that you could sell at $2,400 at $20, you would make an absolute killing. You would just wait for that to stack up. And that's fundamentally what continuity allows you to do. Is you get the LTV of many, many, many purchases, but you get the conversion of low ticket. Okay, big point number. So if you're trying to decide, I need to make money now, then you always have, I'll be honest with you always have to solve your immediate concern. If you're like, I need to pay rent, pay bills, then you got to sell what you got to sell. I'm not going to pretend to be on some ethical high horse here. If you think every entrepreneur has done something great, read Shoe Dog by Phil Knight and see some crazy stories of stuff people did to keep the lights on. If you want to sell one case in the beginning right now, fine. I have no issue with it. I would prefer you go hard on it and get and just say I'm going to do 50 people and just say you guys are the 50 founding members. Give yourself some run so that you can actually experiment and a little bit ahead of this, because if all of your bills and your lights and whatnot are dependent on this one group, then that gets tough and the pressure gets people can smell the desperation. which is also why I like having like a job and then do this at the other time until you get it going to replace your income. But if you've already made the move, then like you just got to go ham and get as many people into the 1K thing as you get. I think 1K lifetime is not a bad offer. I don't know what your offer is, but I guess generically 1K for a lifetime, anything's not bad.
Oh no, Kai is asking, how can I shift my offer to make it scalable? I already have too many clients, but I need more to win this cool games.
Do you need infrastructure then? Now you're starting. I mean, you're in a service business, and so I'd say basically you have two directions that'll make this work, right? So direction one is that you kind of like look at, and I would recommend it, basically AI assistant. And I want to be clear, like you want to lean into and embrace technology, not be afraid of it. And at a 1K price point, you're not going to be able to say like we're super specialized graphics design, uber premium thing, right? Now you have your brand, which is getting conversions. And so I'd rather you have like 2 or 3 people that you've taught kind of your methodology on how to use the tools that you do to crank out thumbnails. And then what you do is you approve them and you give them edits. So basically you are the first 2 or 3 rounds of edits with this review. I mean, like I do it too. Like I'm like, I don't like this, move this around, blah, blah, blah. And that takes like 10 seconds, right? And then they go through the work and they bring it back to you. And that's fine. And I think like you can probably crush all of them in like 4 hours if you had it structured that way. And you can probably like crush it by the time, like if they use AI stuff, you can probably like go through like 3 guys with all of their stuff and then they like go get the feedback. And by the time you finish with the last guy, you probably like do the second round edits because of how fast things are. But that's what you have to be thinking of now, is that you need to embrace team and embrace technology in order to scale this. Also, if you like want to quote win the school games, you can delay the start date.
I remember the last one day you mentioned templates as a scalable way for delivery. Do you think that could apply here?
1,000%. Also, once you figure out, I mean, so we're actually learning this, and once I have like we're in the process now. Like when we look at our own thumbnails for education, at least because I consider ourselves entertainers, like you really only need a handful of kind of templates that work. It's like, okay, if I'm just doing a direct to camera thing, it's like usually me with a cool tends to do those things. So that works there. And if it's me with a whiteboard, then now we haven't nailed the whiteboard. Like we get solid CPRs on that, but it's really so I'm still figuring that one out. And so like I know that the me with the quote card works. That's like I have one. I think I need like 3 more for the different styles of content we have. And so I'm working on it. But I 100% believe that templates are a good solution for this.
The mighty Mike Reed has asked, that's his name by the way, I didn't add mighty to the start. Should I add an outro to my YouTube channel telling people to watch the full video in my free group?
Also, just Kai, because I want to clarify my point and then I'll answer that question. What you say is to like validate the fact that they're paying now and they get it later, is that you just say like, I have a 30-day cancellation, and so you just pay your first month now, and then that way you'll still get your last month of service without having to pay for it at the end. That's an old gym drill. All right, so go for it. Sorry, say it again.
Mike is asking, I think it's basically how do I call to action from a YouTube channel to get people inside of my free group?
I think 2 things that matter most. One is an integrated CTA. I mean, I only do like 1 per video. I probably could do more. You probably do 1, you could do 2. For everybody who's like really worried, this is kind of funny. There's a lot of like the creators who get so worried about like retention and all of these things when they put a CTA in their video. And it's like, motherfucker, the reason you built this audience was to direct them somewhere. Like, unless you're just trying to likes ain't cash, views ain't cash. And so like, unless you're like, don't forget why you started this. And so I just like, you make trades when the trade is worth it. And if you're trading future views or cash today, as long as the trade makes sense for you and the economics, like if you don't want to do the integrated CTA because you don't think the money makes sense, then don't do it at all. Or do it because it makes sense and then realize the fact that that's the trade you make, right? So 1 is integrated, and then 2 is just making sure that really clear CTAs all around. So the YouTube descriptions, your profile bios, things like that. I've gotten like less and less fancy about this. I just say like who you are, go here. So like if you look at mine, it just says like business owners go here, people who want to start a business go here. It's just school and acquisition. That's it. And I think that people who want to find out more, they just go there. As I analyze my own behavior as a consumer of stuff, if I'm like, oh, this guy's interesting, I literally just look at description and it says, hey, if you're looking for this thing, go here. I just go there. It's pretty good.
Sayif is asking, how do you make sure that your content isn't repetitive?
So big thing here is, and obviously for education, this is super important. Because entertainers, they basically make shit up. There's always an unlimited amount of things you can do. But if you're like trying to keep your channel about teaching algebra, like you do to teach algebra, the idea is to think of examples. And so like I can think of the same lesson of niching down, and I still have to talk about niching down. But the idea is that I have to use a different example or different every time. It's one of the principles of business, like actually fairly straightforward. But it's just like, wait, is it different here for realtors? Is it different here for communities? Is it different here for investment bankers? How does it work in real estate? How does it work in insurance? Like, wait, but I thought so. It's really applying principles in new context, and then just like the levels of niching down. The context is like, okay, well, there's industry, but then there's within industry, within time period, within geographic area. Like, there's always kind of like, as we niche down the content, you can be more specific in terms of how not make it repetitive.
When closing and somebody asks you have examples you've worked with, what do you say when you don't have examples of people that you've worked with?
So, go watch my mega influencer video. I hit on this last week too. Like, every position has an advantage, which means that if you don't have any customers, then the advantage that you have is that you're going to get more personalized attention, VIP access, you're going to get them a discounted rate because they're new, blah, blah, blah. Like, and they're going to do all this stuff. Now, if you're trying to charge full boat and you've never done this before, you're fucking dumb. Do it for free. Do it for 10 people. Get fucking testimonials. Because you're going to mess up. You've never done this before. Learn from the first 10 people, and then when you do want to pitch, you'll never have that problem. I'll be really honest with you. I've never sold something in my life I didn't have this before. No. Because it's such a pain in the ass. It's such an obvious thing that someone will bring up. Like, do you have anybody else? No. Well, okay, well, why don't you do it for free first? Testimonials and do an exchange for it, because you're making money on them in the future. You're still going to learn so much from these people. Well, how do I know they're going to be committed? If you really can't get them to be committed, that's like shameless. But besides that, you can give them penalties. Say, listen, if you don't follow this road, so give me a card, and if you don't show up to our calls or you don't do the stuff I tell you to do, I'll do it for you. Which was donate $500 to the charity of your choice. You're not paying anything costs. And then do this. That way they felt like they were still transacting in some way. But because people are fine giving money to a charity, even though I was the charity. No, like I didn't think that. Like they donated to something else. But they're okay helping somebody else in need, not you. Do that. I think you want to.
Chris Tram is saying, is it better to create a brand around your name or to make another brand name so it's like you?
I mean, much easier to build a personal brand. The thing is I think about this as like goose and the eggs. It's just like Logan Paul's having to sell Logan Paul. So like most people are like Elon doesn't sell vehicles, right? He has vehicles, he has companies underneath him. So he builds his brand, and then over time, the product, if it gets bigger than you, becomes a more important brand. Microsoft is still bigger than Bill Gates. Like that's what people. Amazon's bigger than Jeff Bezos in terms of brand. And so, like, if you start with a personal brand, that's fine. But the way that you get the thing to be bigger than you is that it becomes bigger than you. And that means that other people get involved with it, and the product itself is great. If people only buy because of you, and they don't buy, again, because of the product, then it will never grow back. if they buy first because of you and they keep buying because the product, it will surpass.
Ivan Abru, I just started a leadership consulting company for team leaders. I've noticed the leadership consulting world is full of older people, like 45 to 60. I'm 35, and I see the value in leadership for young people. How would you approach setting myself apart from the older people?
So you want to do leadership development for young people. You don't want to do leadership development for old people. What's the problem? Just like, we'll just target young people. Like, I mean, it sounds like, it's like we were talking before, like, what age accountant are you going to help, do what, how? And so that really just comes in all of your messaging that you talk about, like in your profile bio and the things you give away, the problems that you're trying to solve. Like, I'll say it this way, it will be clear who you're helping based on the type of content you're doing. Like if you're talking about how to be a leader, just take an extreme example, like how to be a leader at the lunch table, clearly not talking to like, not really talking to people. Like how to be a leader in the cafeteria. Like probably not geared towards older people, except really old people in the cafeteria. So geriatrics. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like if you can pick the topic, it gets pretty clear who you're going after. So I think if you just make the topics clear in and of themselves, like the avatar.
Samin is asking, at what point would you consider launching a downsell and taking focus away from the main product?
Probably not. I don't want to say never, but like, you got to make a really strong argument for me for like 9 times out of 10, the downsells are just distractions. Like, I think I could get 10% of people to buy something that's 1/10 the price of my main thing. And like, so you want to add 1% of your revenue? Why are we having this conversation? And that's honestly, that's like 9 times out of 10, that's what it is. It's like, I feel like I'm leaving money on the table. It's like, whatever, you're always leaving money on the table. Anything that you don't sell that people buy, you're leaving money on the table for. But you're making a trade on purpose to sell more of the one thing very that has the best margin, has the economics that you've already thought about, that you just need to think more of. So it's like, okay, I could collect 1% more revenue by getting 10% of people to buy something that's 10% of the price of my current product. Or I could take all that effort and just see if I could just get more than 1% more sales on anything. And I'll bet you, if you keep always looking at that calculus, you're almost always able to get more than 1% more sales.
Yeah. All right, Stefan, how to narrow down if you can't decide what niche to go with? Weight loss, for example.
Who? How? Those are 2 easy ones. If you already know, like, you're going weight loss, fine. Who and how. And again, you can be very specific about the how. So I think about it in terms of psychographics, geographics, demographics. For who? Which is, where do they live? Demographics, what do they look like? Psychographics, what do they believe in? What do they find valuable? So those are the who questions. Is it going to be around, counting calories? Is it going to be around, foods of a certain color? Is it going to be around putting food in boxes? Is it going to be, doing macros? Is it going to be, the zone diet, the 30, 30, 40 in terms of percentages? Is it going to be, there is no magic, you're just going to weigh yourself every day? Is it going to be like, you just have to explain that. And usually how to gay without both. How to good without that. How to do more things you like without thinking.
I wonder if his question there's some fear or something he has around narrowing down. It sounds as if he knows the technique, he's just scared to teach that.
Yeah, this is why most people don't make money though. They can't say no to money. That's where I started. It's like you say, what are the mistakes that people make is they try to teach stuff they don't know and they try to sell it. And you're gonna lose. Like unless you want to be like, yeah. So I think one of the things I've done fairly well is me trying to not sound self-aggrandizing, but is looking at what does this look at 1,000x? What does this look at 100,000x? And then taking to its natural extreme, is that the business that I want? If that's not the business that I want, then I don't want to start walking down that path now. And so unless you like Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, Jenny Craig, the big mass market weight loss companies, then who truly service everyone, then, I mean, to be fair, Jenny Craig was for women. Like, even then, they still went down. Like, weight loss is so big. The industry of weight loss, people in weight loss are so big. You have to cut it. You have to cut it. And I'm assuming, I don't know what the price point that you're doing with this here, but if you have any element of service, you're going to cap your capacity far earlier than anything else. So this is my encouragement to you. I'll just tell you right now, because everybody knows under prices, just raise your prices. I'll just tell you, any service level whatsoever, the price point that's going for people who actually make money doing service and fitness is usually around $3,000 for 12 weeks, 12 to 16 weeks. So that means they're charging between like $700 and $1,000 a month. And then on the back end, they sell people under like $200 to $300 a month. If you want to know that's the price. If you're doing one-on-one.
That makes sense. All right, Luke, what would you do if a big part of your market is an older audience that isn't on social media? They may not even use it. Do I do paper newsletters or in-person events? Geriatrics.
Yeah. What did he say about in-person events or paper letters?
He's wondering if he should use those marketing strategies because they may not be on social media.
Yeah. You advertise where your people are. 100%. Now you're going to be getting into the old school thing, which I will say there is a lot of as much as like. So this is funny because a lot of young kids make fun of the old geezers, who, by the way, were young kids, 20 years ago, 30 years ago too, and they're making fun of their old geezers for using telegraphs. But the thing is that like the guys who are still in the game, who are playing there, like they're fucking good because they've been practicing on there for a very long time, and so they know all the tricks. And the guys who evolved came to social media simply because the cost of impressions. That's all it is. So interestingly, like conversion rate, I think continues to like for people who read, if you have good enough lists. But I guess honestly, if I were to zoom all the way out, I'd be like, why are you serving this audience? Would be my like honestly like my big question. Yeah, that would be my big one, because most traditional advertising methodologies are more costly. That's why people switch to social media like that. But like, absolutely, that's what that's what direct mail and newspaper ads. Like, there's guys who still crush that. I had a company out here the other day for 20 years in accounting, just in Ohio, and it was direct mail pieces. This is very boring. Some business ones, 50% margins. Happy to have a pretty chill life. But like, there's all these businesses that people forget about that exist, but like they absolutely get they do highly for our customers. But how do you do for customers for them if you're good? And so he doesn't give a shit the message. So just like in terms of understanding what you're looking for, if you're going to traditional media, you usually need to have really high LTV, and I would not go into that game not knowing. So TLDR, if you've never advertised on those platforms and you don't have LTV set up, you are going to lose. I would rather you go to an advertiser you understand how to acquire LTV existing.
Eric didn't see his question is, what are the most important steps in diagnostic sales for the latest video? Listen to the steps of the like those are the steps that you follow. Where my the most question maybe 5 or 6 months.
So the key part of all sales, I'll just tell you right now, the key part of all sales is creating deprivation. All right. So deprivation creates motivation. That is the inverse of motivation. You are, the most you have the greatest motivation to drink water when you're thirsty. The greatest motivation to sleep when you're asleep. And so the idea is to increase the amount of deprivation between the exposed and where they are, where they want to be, spread that gap as far as we can. And so whatever ways you can do that, visually, experientially, like one of the most effective sales scripts we had in weight loss was like when someone's on the phone, they say, hey, do me a favor, grab the fat you have. Is it like on the phone, you hear people like, well, like, can you grab it or can you pinch it? Is it one handful or two? And they're sitting there and we haven't told them to let go of it yet. And we're like, how long have you been dealing with this? Right? Well, yeah, right. And so the idea is how can we make it real? How can we make the pain that someone's experiencing real? Because the thing is people really good at numbing themselves, really good at putting it in the background. What we need to do is reprioritize the thing. It's like in the political season, whatever people are talking about becomes the main agenda for the election. I think the same thing sort of micro level with the sales. You get into call with kids screaming, whatever else is going on. And in that 30 minutes, in that hour, we need to basically control the media around them so that this becomes the number one problem in their life. And that all problems, as many as we can, stem from this one thing. Which is like, man, if you were your high school, would you be dating somebody different? Would you be looking up in your job differently? Would you be different? Right? Would you be proud of yourself in your opinion? Would you have this? Yeah. So would you say that the fact that you haven't been able to lose weight for the last 10 years is the reason that every day you look at yourself mirrors the evidence that you can't commit yourself to anything and you remind yourself every day that that's not the truth, but you know it is? Well, if we solve that, how much that we go to? Okay, good news, your whole house, but it's going to be way less. So then we go to the sale, right? And so the idea is that the key of any sale is simply being able to articulate the gap. That's it. And so the reason that in any sales, we pin where they're at, we pin where they want to go, and diagnostics simply and help them to that goal. That's why I call it diagnostic. The other type of sale, which I call kind of a product-driven sales, is trying to funnel everybody into one solution. And so, typically, if you have a front end and back end offer, usually the front end is productized, and you try and say, like, no matter what you do, this thing's a catch-all, whether you're a real estate agent, whether you're blah, 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 blah. Like, if I sell the book, I can say any business needs a better offer, right? I'm going to try to sell everything. You need a better offer, right? On the flip side of the diagnostic sale, what you do with services, it's really only local services. You can basically cater and sell to the end result. And that allows you to price and value more closely than any other selling process.
That sales tip is the best sales tip. Someone was asking in the chat about the sales company. All right, Jade is saying, a long track record of success initially love but is super saturated, for example.
I mean, if you have a ton of records of success, then actually don't even have to really good at making online and be good at making money online. I'm just being like super real. Hopefully, you don't take that as a better thought. But if you have a record of success, if you have a lot of people to use those case studies, and basically, I just thought either you don't know how to get customers, in which case don't claim that, or you know how to results. Basically, you need to be honest and figure out where you have the problem is. Unless the question is worded, if it's I'm really good at helping people make a website, then fine. Then it's like, okay, I'm really good at helping people make websites, but I don't know how to sell websites. But it has to be really clear because you basically you should the output and the problem. I'm good at making money, but I'm struggling making money.
Stefan is saying, if you're just
follow up, what's the reference to coming in or I didn't see had a problem? I just curious what your question is.
Stefan is saying, if he is just beginning, this is you. If Alex is just beginning and testing different niches for different audience numbers, but nothing is showing success.
Keep testing. I mean, honestly. And so, I mean, fundamentally, if you're testing different niches, like, I'd say differently. I would probably pick the niche that I want to help, and then be testing different problems. So that makes more than I would be changing. Mm-hmm. Like that's just for everybody who's here. Like changing who you want to serve is wild. You know what I mean? Like I want to serve business owners. Actually, I want to serve 80-year-old moms. Actually, I want to serve teenage boys. Like, whoa, that's jarring. So I think get clear on who you want to serve. This is who you want to help you right now, and then all you have to do is wrap the offer up. That's it. And Jay, hopefully I didn't get you all upset. You asked a question, I was trying to get a question out of thoughts about like making money all the time. But yes, I think people need to differentiate. The way they differentiate nowadays is by providing value to their content better than everyone else does. And you prove that you're better than everyone else by providing more value than everyone else does for a fee, which is literally what I do. And so that's what you do. Is you provide more than everyone else does, you do it for free, and then people pay you because they're like, "Holy shit, this is for free stuff."
Final question. What's one thing that you're excited for?
Oh, honestly, my little picture. That's probably that's like on the horizon. And then I'd say that's for you guys. For me personally, I'm pretty sure that I don't think that'll be pretty significant. It'll probably take me another like month or two. But if you saw the last video that did 1 million like us, I think we did. So I think that was working off a different strategy that we can do about how do we keep it really deep education. And so I'm actually having, this is the first time in a long time that I've had fun making because now I'm like, I just only want to talk about business. And so that's like fun. Because I only like talking about it. Like, relationship. Like, I don't talk about fitness stuff. It's like, I've been doing it for 20-something years. Like, it's so old for me. And relationship stuff, everybody who has a relationship feels like they have an opinion about it, and there's no relationship really there, so you can never have a right? And so, for me, put pieces there, and I regret it. So I might have. But business is objective. It's the math behind everything. I love it. I think about it. I draw about it. I write about it. It's what I do. All this stuff for it. So, anyways, I'm very amped about that. So that's. But I think you guys will.
100%. Thank you so much for showing up. Thanks, Alex.
See you guys. Later.